everyone, and welcome to Dines with Dara on the Joy Slot podcast, brought to you by IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm Greg Flammang, and that's Dara Mabrey. Roller coaster weekend, Dara. We talked about it last week. There was a big weekend coming up with Notre Dame playing Syracuse at home and then UConn on the road on short rest. One of those went really poorly, and one of those went really well. So we're going to talk about that. A lot of roller coaster of emotions, to say the least. So I want to get to you, to your thoughts on all of those things and everything that happened, and then what it all portends going forward, if anything, right? If there's like a ton of takeaway, or if it's just kind of regression to the mean on both fronts, and then or if your view on the team has changed at all. So we're going to talk about that. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you haven't caught this show before, or if you have and you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. Please hit the like button on this video, and please hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. Links to this podcast are going to be in the description below, and you're going to want to check us out as we get into we're nearing towards March Madness, Dara, the best time of year for college basketball, both for the women and the men. And so you're going to want to be ready for that. And one way to get ready for that is you want to look your best and feel your best. And one way to do that is to go to ESQclothing.com, which is created as the world's first bamboo dress shirt crafted from high-quality bamboo fabric. It's the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. Not only more sustainable than cotton, also feels cooler, has stretch, is odor and wrinkle resistant, and even machine washable. Dara, it feels cooler. It's 3 degrees cooler than regular cotton. So as you get down into the fourth quarter and the crunch time minutes, you want to wear your ESQ shirt to keep you cool so you don't sweat it out during these big games. You've seen ESQ's one-piece collar bamboo dress shirt on all of your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches. Perfect for today's business meeting, heading for a night out, and watching the basketball game. Use ISD 15 and get 15% off all online items. ISD 15 for 15% off. Dara, how are you doing? How are you hanging in there after this weekend's tilt of basketball games?
Great. I was so excited. I thought it was Tuesday. It's not Tuesday. It's in fact Monday. I think I texted you over the weekend every type of emotion throughout those couple of games. There was some let's go, some I'm going to kill someone, and then some other I don't even know how to respond. So great. I mean, we're going to get into it. We saw all of it within, what was that? 24, 48, approximately 72 hours. We saw some great basketball and some really poor basketball that I'm excited to dive into because we got a lot to discuss today. But as for me, I'm doing great. I think I could use some coffee, but maybe talking about the Syracuse game is going to have the same effects.
It was tough, so Thursday comes around, and it was crazy because Notre Dame was, I think, 14-point favorites going into the game, which is just kind of insane, right? Like, I understand, like, I think the people feel like Syracuse, it was kind of riding on smoke and mirrors a little bit. But 14.5 is a lot. I mean, that's like you're going to blow out a team. And it was pretty clear early on, like, okay, no, it's not going to be. That's not what it's going to be. It's not going to be a blowout. And it's incredible to me how, like, you texted, it's just like they forgot how to play. Especially in the second half there. And they started off poorly. They had made the comeback. You thought in the third quarter, like, there was going to be an extension, right? They were going to pull away, and then it just stopped. Like, it went away. There was foul trouble in there. My girl Maddy, with the 2 minutes into the 2 minutes left in the third quarter, picks up her fourth foul on like a really bad reach in. Like, don't just put your hand out there and take a foul, and now you got to sit. She only ended up playing for 2 more game minutes after that. She had to sit. She came in with 5 minutes left in the fourth, picked up her foul 2 minutes later, and she had to sit for the rest of the game. It's like you can't take yourself out of the game in that situation. The offense looks stagnant. It just seemed like they didn't know how to get offense going. They didn't believe in their structure. They didn't know where to get their good shots from.
Yeah.
Every shot seemed like it was kind of like I could take this shot. I don't really believe in this shot, and it just wasn't happening for them. And I texted you about Maddy taking that foul, and you said you were ready to harm someone you're ready to do some physical damage to somebody. And I don't even know if it was about that specifically, but just like your emotions were very high. So like what was the disconnect for them in that second half and in the game against Syracuse? What is Syracuse doing that hurt Notre Dame so much in that game?
So that's a great question, because I think Syracuse was doing maybe like 40% of it where we struggled, and then the other 60% was Notre Dame versus Notre Dame. Like, okay, yeah, Syracuse, like I said earlier on, you're going to have to offensive rebound and take care of the ball, right?
Yeah.
Down the stretch, they got really big offensive rebounds, which led to second chance opportunities, and they're going to capitalize on that. They have a good point guard. They're playing well. They're a good team. And then outside of that, like when I say Notre Dame versus Notre Dame, like the Syracuse girl in the third or fourth quarter, I forget who it was just standing still and looked actually surprised that we threw the ball into her hands.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm just going to throw the ball to the other team. It's not like she was playing really hard defense. Like they play a zone half the time. So it's like, what were we doing? And that's where I was saying, like, it looked like we forgot how to play basketball, because it's not like Syracuse was running some run and jump or like some full denial defense where we couldn't really break the pressure or we were turning the ball over. Like it was Notre Dame versus Notre Dame. In the second half of that game, I felt like we beat ourselves more than anything. Mm-hmm. And the 14-point win probability didn't surprise me that much, because it's hard to beat a team 2 times in the ACC. Better yet, Notre Dame. It's hard to beat Notre Dame twice, and it's hard to do it the second time on their home floor.
Yeah.
So some of those numbers I actually agreed with, but then again, I'm like, well, shoot, we were dead wrong. So they turned it around, like on Saturday, but Thursday was pretty bad. From top to bottom, I would say a horrible performance.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where like like you almost feel like the narrative is kind of building, right? Like if they don't have Maddy out there, like she's such a big deal for how they can set up offense, right?
Yes.
Because then Hannah has to take on so much more. Wasn't another great shooting day for her in that game, and it was just like it's such a struggle, and the narrative is kind of building like she's finding it harder and harder to get like really good, efficient shots. She can always get to the basket. She can always score. She's always going to be able to produce points, but the amount of work, it just feels like it's unsustainable on a successful team, right? It's not like you can't do it. It's just like, if you're going to be good, that you can't have this. I thought Sonia was kind of out of sorts in this game. And then you're really counting on players like KK and Anna and Kylie, and like because Maddy's not out there, it's like you have to produce something. You have to like Nat, you have to produce some offense, because you're just not getting it from like Maddy's not out there, and Hannah is struggling a little bit. Like she does need to get picked up, and it just wasn't there. And then you're projecting out to Saturday specifically, and now you're starting to think, like you can't score at home, against Syracuse. Like now you're going on the road on short rest against UConn, and what's that going to look like, right? So you're starting to like think, man, this is really
right.
How does this get right?
Right.
Start out slow against UConn, 30-18. What were your emotions at that moment? Just like watching that game and the way it was unfolding. Like, where was your mind going at this point?
I had to think before I said what I actually thought and the words that were coming out of my mouth to the TV.
Yeah.
I didn't hit the panic button when it was 30-18.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think I didn't hit the panic button because there was a different sense of urgency. Obviously, I know the team better than anybody else, but I didn't feel like we were folding yet.
Yeah.
Like 12 points is 12 points is not 16 points, if that makes sense. Because if you hit a 3 down 12, the whole it's a completely different game. So I didn't hit
Good
the
point.
panic button. I was getting upset. What'd you say?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I told them, actually, I texted them before the game and I said, if you want to win at UConn, if you want to beat UConn, you have to calm down always. And I think that even when they were down 12, they weren't pressing. They weren't coming down the court and jacking up crazy shots and then leading to UConn transition buckets. There were a couple. I know the two freshmen had a couple of good plays. I think someone got their pocket picked and then they had a layup. But other than that, most of those buckets were coming within their offense. And Paige hit a contested jumper over Sonia, and Sonia's hand was literally like this. And I was like, there's nothing you can do about it. However, I didn't hit the panic button because, like I said before, Coquise taught me they can't hit enough of those shots to win the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, it's half court. It's their half court offense. We just have to sit down and defend. And they got a timeout. Then they got a couple of buckets. I think Sonia hit a 3, and that's when they started to come out of it. So I was like, oh shit, for a second. And then I was like, don't panic, calm down. We didn't have Hannah wasn't driving into the lane, chucking it up, and then someone throws the ball out of bounds. Like, that didn't happen. And that's where I was like, okay, here's growth. Like, we showed growth through adversity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, Hannah, I texted you. She went God mode, right? She did. And that's the thing. Like, this is what's in there. It's just a complete domination of a basketball game, and that's like, I don't want to use the word greatness, but like that's the level, like where she could just totally take control of the game,
take over a game.
Yeah, and so she's 14 to 24, scores 34 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and it's just like getting wherever she wants on the court. 3 of 5 from 3, right? So she's like a threat back there. And the thing that I thought like really unlocked them is my girl Maddy, right? 23 points, 5 rebounds. Okay, 3 of 7 from 3, 9 of 15 from the 4. But the thing that really got them going, and you can get to this point where, like, what are they going to do? Like when her and Hannah did, or when Maddy and Hannah were doing high pick and roll at the top, like, it's just, especially when Maddy is hitting that jumper, like, so she can pop or she can roll the basket, and so she can do kind of anything there. And it's like, what do you do? Like, because then you get Hannah going downhill, and it's like, it's unstoppable. And then you have Sonia on the wing who's ready to hit shots. So Sonia pitches in 15 and 6, and Sonia, Maddy, and Hannah go the distance, which is like, we talked about leadership a ton, right? On the show before. And then it just kind of through text, like the lack of leadership in that Syracuse game, just complete opposite, like 180, going the distance, 40 minutes, like not getting in foul trouble. None of them had any more than 3 fouls in the game. And so you get to stay on the court that way. And that's leadership right there. And that's putting the team, kind of on your shoulders, the responsibility of a victory on your shoulders, and then making it happen in a big game like that. Like, that to me is just like, okay, it's going to be all right. We have this level in us, and now it's time for everyone else to contribute there. Tell me what you saw from Hannah and Maddy and Sonia in the second half of that game specifically. I mean, the game was won in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, right? Tell me what you saw. Tell me what you saw there.
I think they probably recognized in the first half that they weren't getting much production. Maddy was producing early on, not like she was in the second half. She was lights out in the second half. Sonia, I don't think, got a shot. at least for the first couple minutes of the game. And yeah, they were guarding her tight, but that's just something to me that like I don't like to see that happen. I don't like to see her not get attempts early on.
Right.
And then Hannah was pretty good. She really turned it up in the second half, but across the board, like on the bench, the rest of the team, we weren't getting much production. And I think the three of them probably realized, okay, if we don't start producing, if someone doesn't do something, we could get embarrassed in stores. Really hard place to play. And UConn was having a good first half. So I think Maddy led by example, but she had this demeanor. Like if you know Maddy, when Maddy's in the give me the ball mode, she's damn near unstoppable. And she kept calling that pick and roll, keep doing it. And she looked, give me the ball. I saw her say it one time. That's the difference in Maddy Westbeld that was not there against Syracuse on Thursday. Yeah. That's Maddy on Thursday was second guessing herself, not knowing, the play before that I talked about when we threw the ball to the other team, that was Maddy. Yeah. And she could have had her little one dribble pull up jump shot. I don't know, chalk it up what was going on. Maybe it was a rough night for the whole team overall. Maddy didn't look like herself on Thursday. Neither did Sonia. And then they finally started to get going. And it was just like all right, we have no other choice now, so let's do it. However, like with maturity and growth, that mindset needs to come at the beginning of every single game.
Mm-hmm. And so Nat pitches in 10 points in 20 minutes, 4 or 5 shooting, right? And look, that helps, right? It's absolutely a big deal.
Yeah.
Where do they get more though? Like they do, I feel like they do need to get more from them from the supporting players, right?
Kylie.
So Anna and Kylie, like they take one shot in their time on the floor in the game, right? So they didn't score any points. Like
you said, Anna had one.
Oh yeah, no, I only said they only took one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their time on the floor, between the two of them, they took one shot. So
AD and Kylie.
Yeah. So no points from them in 19 minutes from Kylie and 14 minutes from Anna. We learned during during the game or at some point, Olivia had talked to the Fox production crew, and Olivia Miles said she's not going to play this year. She's going to be out for the rest of the season due to the knee that she hurt last, I guess, March. Right? March, I think it was, coming up on a year. So she's going to be out. So the help is not coming, right? Hopefully Cass is out of the boot, right? So no update there. We don't know what that is, but at least she's out of the boot. That's like helpful or hopeful, I guess. But help's not coming, right? And so you have to be able to, because here's the thing, right? Maddy and Hannah and Sony, like they can, obviously they have a big performances in them, right? Like that's in there, and it'll always be in there. But consistently being able to go through the rounds of an ACC tournament or an NCAA tournament, like you do need, like that's why on the last show we talked about how like it'd be great if Anna just like 50% from 3 for like a month. Like that would be awesome. But like you're not going to go 50% from 3 if you're not shooting the ball. So like how do they get that spark, right? Like where can that spark come from?
I feel like when I think of a spark, I think of KK. So I think she has a really good feel for the game. She knows Niel's system really well, and she just has the ability to make something happen, whether it's getting an offensive rebound or taking a charge, or it doesn't always necessarily have to be a bucket. But I think that spark and maybe that X factor is KK Bransford for sure. You need more production out of 2 starters. AD has to produce, Maddy has to produce. I'm kind of getting tired of saying it. There's no other way to put it, Greg. You have to go out there and
let me ask you. We say that. Where does their production need to come from? I guess, like, how does that manifest itself in the game? Let's put it like that.
Kylie has to want the ball. Kylie got the ball yesterday. I think she was open, and she didn't even know she was open. It wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. You see, I I do need coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to want the ball, right? It doesn't matter who you're going up against. And we've seen her want the ball before. I mean, think of that Louisville performance last season when Olivia hit that buzzer beater. Kylie was damn near arguably the best player on the floor for that game because she wanted the ball. She's persistent in her footwork. She has good body control. She just, maybe it's a mental thing, you know? You have to want the ball and you have to want it on the big stage. And that rolls right into AD. AD, you're a fifth year. You are a great scorer. She's flashy. She can pass. She has to want to be aggressive. She has to hunt shots more. She has to run the floor harder, set her feet quicker, and attempt more threes. I like her little floater game. I like the pull up, but if she wants to be more effective, she's a good shooter. She has to run the floor and she has to look for her shot more. So AD gets the ball and she wants the ball, but then when she gets it, I feel like there's a disconnect. And then for Kylie, it's like you have to want the ball. You have to run down, post up, and say, give me it, and then go to work and produce, which we've seen her do before.
I feel like Kylie had a better start to the year, right? Like I just feel like she was fine, right? It wasn't anything that I had like a big concern about, you know? Like it wasn't like great or anything, but it was like, yeah, like she should get in the post. She put a post move on. I mean, she like 10-6, right? Is kind of like, yeah, like that's what it's gonna be, you know, 10-6. Maybe you throw in a 15-10 every now and then, you know, but like now it's like,
yeah, she's capable for more. Like you see how much of an athlete she is and how explosive she is. She could get 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah. Right. And so it's just like it's not there. And I don't know if it's a mental thing or if something happened. It's just interesting to me how like a senior would be going through this right now. Because the other part is like it's not like there's a minutes concern. Like she's
gonna play.
Yeah, she's one of the safest players on the court, right? Like in terms of minutes, right? Like she has to play. Right. It's not even a thing where it's like, oh, you know, we'll just go with somebody else. Like there is really no one else. Like she's the one. So it's like play free and clear. Like with the football team, I'm always talking about like the guy who is going through that senior bump where it's like, hey, you're a senior now. Like you take responsibility for someone who's kind of a veteran, you know? And I feel like that's Kylie. You know?
She's experienced. She's a senior.
There's better play in her past, right? So it's not like we're expecting or hoping for something that hasn't been there, like a jump in play. You just be what you've been, you know, and that's good enough. That's gonna be fine for this team. I feel like that would help them so much.
It would.
The same with Anna, right? And the thing that I don't really like get with Anna is why isn't there like a spot on the floor where it's like, hey, I'm going to get to this spot and this is going to be my shot, like in the corner or wherever it may be, because you feel like there's so much attention being paid to Hannah and being paid to Sonia and Maddy when she's out there. She should never have to shoot the ball with a hand in her face. Like there should be opening for her. Why can't they find that? What have you seen that they can't get her opportunities?
Sometimes I don't think it's not they can't get her opportunities. So I think they could run her off some double stag screens, which is like 2, and then you run her off the corner. For our people on here that want to know what that is. I think that could be an option. And then I also think that her release can be a second faster. It's a difficult league, and there's long athletic athletes that play in the ACC and across the country. But I think, half a second to a second faster. That way she can let it go. And then if they do come, then she can get into her pull-up. But have them respect it first. Saturday, she had to shoot one. And she did it. She got it quick. She did it. She didn't miss it too bad. I've seen her hit one at the end of the buzzer where she had to shoot it. And it's like, okay, now do it every single time. And if it were me, like how I would like aggressively hunt shots, like granted, I played with Olivia Miles, so it was really fun. And we always knew where each other were going to be. She knew I was going to bust my ass up the court as fast as I could get to the 3-point line. And she was going to whip it across the court to me. I think that there needs to be a better connection. Maybe she'd say, Hannah, look, I'm running as hard as I can for a shot. Just look for me a couple more times.
Yeah.
I got you open on the 3-point line. Easy. That kind of thing. If you run hard in transition, believe it or not, like you'll get so many more 3-point opportunities than you think.
Is the lack of you say she can get it up quicker? Is that a little bit of hesitation? Like, am I really open? Like, do I need to do I need to get this off? Because here I'll show you an example. Okay, when I went to a Sparks game, Marina Mabrey, right?
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's like that ball is in her hands for less than a second. Yeah. When the ball is on the way, she is like getting ready to square her shoulders, and that ball is going up, you know? And look, granted, I am speaking about a professional basketball player, right? Like she is, I don't think it's fair to say like, you know, Anna's going to be Marina Mabrey, right? But I do like she's a 5th-year player. Like, I think a 5th-year player is like, you know what? I'm getting this ball and it's going up. Like I'm ready to go. And I feel like when we're just watching Marina, it's just like, man, she's ready to go ASAP. As soon as the ball is getting ready to get swung, I'm getting my body ready to go. Does there need to be more of that from Anna? Like, hey, I'm getting this ball and I'm not like catching it and checking. I'm catching it and firing.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's a disconnect mentally where it's like, oh, maybe I'm open, maybe I'm not. She drags her back foot. So she catches and then she drags her back foot and then she slightly moves it over to the right or the left. I might be mixing it up. And that's where it can be a half a second quicker. It's your feet. So like your shoulders can be so super jacked up, but if your feet are in the right place, the chances of it going in are way higher. So I think that she says stop dragging that back foot ever so slightly, and that's half a second right there, and that's all you need because she's already a good shooter.
Yeah.
It's not like she can't shoot at all, and then she's got to like line it up like a post player and then let it go. No, she's quick. She's good. She's a guard. She's a good shooter. Half a second, stop dragging the back foot, and then golden.
And then buckets, you know, let's get buckets, you know, and that's the job. I mean, basically it's like, look, we're just looking for a return to the previous form from Kylie and Anna. That's really all we're looking for, right? We're not looking for
we're not looking for 15 and 10. Like we're looking for, I would say 8 to 10 out of Kylie, 7 to 10 rebounds. But for AD more, I think she could give double figures every game.
Yeah.
And then just this much more from everybody else that comes in and plays. And it's not points. When I say this much more, it does not mean points. It just means a level of focus where you're going to come in, do your job, but do it well. Obviously, you're all going to play. You're going to have to go and do your job every game, right? We have a very short roster. Are you going to perform? Are you going to let Niele know every time you practice and every time you play in the game what she's going to get? And I think that's been the problem, is that consistently since the beginning of the year, we don't know what we're going to get out of certain people. I think Hannah's extremely reliable. Sonia is extremely reliable. Maddy is almost extremely reliable. And then down the line, the rest of them, what is she going to get every night?
Yeah.
She has to know. And then that way you produce a well-oiled machine. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, and 8 are going to come in and do their job.
Yeah. So, not looking for the Naismith Women's College Player of the Week, which is what Hannah just won, breaking across the wire. She was named the Naismith Women's College Player of the Week. For the week, she was, 28.5 points. So we'll call it 29. Let's round up on that. 7 rebounds and 5 assists against 2 ranked opponents. She leads the nation in steals per game. Leads the ACC in points per game and total points, ranking 4th amongst all players nationally. She's been ACC Rookie of the Week 8 times. ACC Player of the Week honors twice. AP Basketball Player of the Week. Tamika Catchings National Freshman of the Week honors once. Generational, generational player. I mean, what other superlatives are there? I mean, what other adjectives can you use to describe? She's incredible. She's. I honestly, I love her competitive fire. Is just, okay. She set the Notre Dame freshman record for a scoring record, right, at 34 points a game in this game. And the big thing is the freshman has scored more than 30 points the second time against a top 10 opponent. You're playing your biggest opponents and you're coming up biggest in those games. Just, I mean, that's everything you want. Just an ultimate competitor, incredible basketball player. Love watching her play. I mean, it's just, that's another thing. It's just she's so fun to watch how hard she plays. I mean, what can you say? I mean, what can you say, Dara?
Before I called their Boston College game, I had a vocab list just for her. I'm I know she's gonna, before the game, I'm I know she's gonna pick someone's pocket 4 times. So what do I say on the first, and then what do I say on the third? And I know she's gonna yell in someone's face and she's gonna flex on them. So I need to dive into this dictionary. She was driving me crazy before I had to call that game. But it is what else is there to describe her? I mean, yeah, generational. She's amazing. You know what you're gonna get from her every single night. She's this spitfire energy. You don't come across that all the time. And there's nobody like her. I've never seen another player like her. I think one thing we absolutely have to talk about is the 3 that she banked in at the end. What was it, halftime or the first quarter?
Yeah.
Against UConn, banked in a 3, and I was she's the only one that can do that. And then walk off like she was supposed to do that. She actually called bank and knew that was going to happen and walked off like it was nothing. She wasn't well, we'll take it. She was oh no, hell yeah, I used the backboard. I for sure used the backboard and it went in. She's just great. I mean, offensively, defensively, absolutely amazing. And then just those things that we talked about earlier in the week, shot selection, some decision making. Imagine when those come into play, she's arguably unstoppable right now.
Right. I mean, it all, even whatever poor decision there is, it all comes from a place of aggressiveness and just wanting to go at the opponent, right? You love that. You love that in any athlete you're following. I want to end on a little thing that came up that I noticed. The South Carolina LSU game outdrew the NBA game that was taking place at the same time as far as ratings. It was the Celtics and some other team. I don't remember who it was. I feel like that's huge. I feel like that's not getting enough traction. I mean, I guess I don't know how much traction it should get, but I just think it's a big deal because the whole thing was, women's sports, women's basketball, it doesn't draw the ratings, and a college game is outdrawing the NBA. In a prime time.
You can't say it anymore.
What's that?
You can't say that people don't watch us anymore.
It's just a fact. What is there to say? They outdrew them, the NBA, right? It's not like it was college versus college. It's an NBA game. I just think that's great for the women's game. I think it's great for someone like Hannah, to people are noticing, man, this player is a star, you know, and obviously
Yeah.
Caitlin has a lot to do with that. I mean, I think, you know, to be honest, like people, whatever you might say about what, why can't I think of the coach's name at LSU right now?
Kim
What is
Mulkey.
her name? Kim
I got
Mulkey.
you. It's also Tuesday. It's also
whatever you say about her, like she is good for the game in terms of just eyeballs and interest, right? And all sports have that, right? All sports have quote unquote villains, and the women's game has that right now. And so it's just it's just a really good time for the women's game specifically, and it's great to see.
It's a great thing to see, and I bet you the numbers that we're going to see in March are going to be incredible this year.
Right.
Even better than last year's.
Many people are saying it's a great product, right? Many people are saying this, and many people are watching. So hey, lock in to women's basketball. Lock
Tune
into this
in.
podcast. Lock into this podcast, Dimes with Dara. We're gonna be back. We'll be back next week, probably sometime, or maybe before that, if there's reason for us to be back. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are releasing a show. Happy ball watching, right? Happy watching the basketball, men's or women's, whatever it may be. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Dara. What do we always say?
Keep getting those buckets.
Keep getting them buckets. Just like we want from Anna. Keep getting them buckets. Talk to you soon.